So crypto markets are trading sideways, seeing somewhat of a pump after the US Senate finally reaches enough votes to end the government shutdown. We have some key news events this week which are going to be causing a lot of volatility, and right now we're anticipating that the government's going to be opening up on Thursday. This is why everyone is fluctuating around. Bitcoin closed above the 50-week estimated moving average and the 50-week simple moving average, which is looking quite bullish, causing everyone to believe that we're still in a bull run. But there's still the bears giving their perspectives that at the end of the day, when we see little percentages and we start to move, everyone starts calling for bull season and bull market and altcoin season. But this is where everyone starts over leveraging themselves and we start to see crazy deviations. Is that going to happen again? We're going to be walking through the price action, the news events, the perspectives from crypto analysts and traders, what everyone is saying, and also the news that we just got from the US government shutdown and how it's going to be ending very, very soon. So with all that being said, let's go to jump straight into the price action, the news events, and what you need to be aware of. Pumps in the last 24 hours after the US Senate finally reaches enough votes for us to actually end the US government shutdown. This is causing a lot of fluctuations in the markets. We're starting to see the US futures explode. We're starting to see a lot of people talking about Bitcoin and the estimated moving average and pretty much that 50-week level and how we pretty much closed above it. And this is looking quite bullish. We're starting to see the heat map showing where liquidity is shifting. So we're going to be jumping through all of these different perspectives and even the bears that are talking about how exactly we're still going to be seeing more deviations. But across the market, guys, for Bitcoin and for Ethereum, we saw massive pumps opening up the week. Now, in the last 4 hours, you're starting to see a little bit of a capitulation, downward price action, but it's just because of all the steam that we had with Bitcoin, and we're pretty much ending the day. Ethereum is pretty much repeating the same price action, seeing somewhat of a crazy jump up, but it is also starting to deviate nearing the end of the day. So I'm expecting a little bit of a downward price action, a little bit of sideways movement, and then from there potentially moving forward, especially with the key news events that are going to be having more of an effect on volatility this week. Now, the total 3E chart is showing us how liquidity is shifting into altcoins, and until Ethereum starts to rally like crazy, Ethereum is pretty much dictating how altcoins are just loitering right now, staying in this specific zone, waiting for Ethereum to actually make a big move. And Bitcoin dominance has been one of the charts that we've been keeping up with that's pouring into the fact that liquidity is really getting squeezed from Bitcoin, and pretty much, or all the liquidity is getting squeezed out of altcoins and Ethereum into Bitcoin. And right now we're pretty much just ranging in this 59 to 60% region. A lot of people like Benjamin Cohen, analysts that have been keeping up with the price action around Bitcoin, are expecting that we're going to be seeing much more movement with Bitcoin dominance, but all in due time, guys, will we actually see if that's going to be having an effect. Now, this week, we have some key news events. And guys, every week we have key news events that have an effect on volatility. And I try to keep you updated with it so you can understand how to move throughout the week and understand if on certain days we're going to be pumping or if we could potentially see a little bit of a dip or even a correction. Now, key news events this week. One, today, markets react to the $2,000 tariff dividend. I'm pretty sure you heard about that. Trump talking about how specific individuals are going to be eligible for a $2,000 stimulus check, pretty much provided from the tariffs. Now, moving into the next is the US government shutdown enters day 41. But at the end of the day, we saw a decision with the Senate, and now we're going to be seeing a conclusion more than likely happening on Thursday. The NFIB small business index data on Tuesday. This is going to be having an effect, guys, just based off of how the specific businesses are actually performing and how it's looking compared to the US economy, inflation, consumer sentiment data, all that good stuff. And then Wednesday, guys, we have the OPEC monthly report. Thursday, we have the federal budget balance data. And then also in general, we have 9 Fed speaker events this week with the CPI, inflation, and the CPI data, multiple other different things that are happening, guys. There's a lot of moving parts, and what you need to be mainly aware of when I show you stuff like this is that expect crazy fluctuations and volatility, especially with all this data, consumer sentiment going everywhere, investor sentiment. It's really crazy times right now, especially with the government shutdown ending. We're going to start seeing a whole bunch of flooding in terms of spending and stimulus. So moving into exactly how the markets are looking after the US Senate has decided that we reached enough votes and the government shutdown is going to be ending, you can see that the US stocks are extending gains with the NASDAQ 100 up nearly 2% as the government shutdown nears its end. We're starting to see a lot of fluctuations, and in yesterday's video, if you didn't go watch yesterday's video, please go watch it. I talked about exactly the timeline with the government shutdown and exactly how it's going to be having an effect on price action. And this is one of the things we were expecting. Now, jumping into the price action around Ethereum and Bitcoin, and pretty much why everyone is feeling super, super bullish right now. So Bitcoin had a weekly close above the weekly estimated moving average 50 level. And this is something that we were keeping up with in the past 2 weeks and wondering if we closed above it, we're going to see bullish price action. And if we close below it, expect Bitcoin to fall to 93,000, potentially 90K. But we closed above it. This means Bitcoin is still in a bull run. But there's one thing that is lacking, and that's demand from institutions. If this comes, it would mean the local bottom is most likely in. Otherwise, Bitcoin will reverse the entire pump in the coming weeks. So he thinks that we are lacking in terms of the demand from institutions, but I honestly do not believe so, especially with a whole bunch of different movements now with a lot of the ETFs that were trying to be pushed, the ETH staking ETF, Solana. There's a lot of different moving parts right now. So I'm sure we're going to be seeing the demand from institutions. It's just slowly going to be coming in time. Now, moving more into the price action around Bitcoin, KillXBT shows us the heat map and where liquidity is forming. If you aren't aware of the heat map, all you really got to know is that liquidity starts to stem up in specific zones. And whenever we start to see more liquidity in a specific area, that's more than likely where price action is going to push towards. Now, we got a decent amount of leverage shorts building at 107 to 107.5K. This is that top region that you're seeing with the yellow in that first red box. Now he says shorts building to 107 to 107.5K. We also have some late longs around 103.7K. So you can see a few longs that are also put at 103.7K as well. These low time frame areas will be good for scalps. We are still expecting a continued push into CPI, which is the CPI inflation data, guys, that's going to be coming out on Wednesday, if I'm not mistaken. You can go check it out. It's coming out on the 13th. This is going to be having an effect on volatility, and this pours into the thought of 9 Fed speaker events that are going to be happening this week. So just expect volatility, upward price action, but then from there, potentially some deviations. Now, if we look into Dr. Profit's perspective, he is the biggest bear, the mucho grande bear, the all el jefe bear, guys, because he's the individual that's been calling for the top for Bitcoin, Ethereum, saying altcoin season is not going to happen. Yada, 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 all the good stuff. But he goes on to say Bitcoin, all it takes is a few percentage pumps to make the market sentiment look bullish again. Wait a few days and you will see the entire market over leveraged once again with calls of 150K Bitcoin and alt season. This is when the market makers strike with the next leg down. So at the end of the day, he's expecting that we're going to be seeing a correction, a course correction after the pump that we're currently seeing take place right now. KillXBT is kind of covering that as well with the heat map. And also Ted gives his perspective on exactly how otherwise Bitcoin will reverse the entire pump in the coming weeks. So who's right here, the bears or the bulls? Only in due time will we actually see, guys, especially since we just closed above the 50-week estimated moving average. This kind of ties into a few different perspectives from Benjamin Cohen and how he's, expecting Bitcoin dominance to run back up. But he also talks about how Bitcoin reclaimed the 50-week moving average. And he goes on to talk about how Bitcoin managed to close above the 50-week simple moving average. So this is bullish perspectives that the price action around Bitcoin is staying steady in the way that it should be. Now, could we see deviations due to institutions and not enough adoption around Bitcoin right now? Potentially. At the end of the day, a lot of people have already been allocating and we've been seeing a crazy significant run for Bitcoin, regardless of what everyone is calling for, 150, 200,000 Bitcoin. At the end of the day, liquidity doesn't lie, and right now, we're starting to see a little bit of a weakness. Could we see one last final rip up? Potentially, but it's all going to be based off of the institutions and also off of the normal investors as well. So overall, right now, guys, you can see markets are just trading sideways, but overall seeing somewhat of a pump. And you can see right now, my crypto portfolio has been seeing significant moves in the last 24 hours to 7 days as well. And this is something that your portfolio should be doing as well whenever we start to see somewhat of a recovery in the markets. This is why I've been telling everyone to dollar cost average into positions, because a lot of these were down even a little bit more than what you're seeing right now, which is why they're up 15%. 8%, 20%, yada, yada, yada. So that is currently what is taking place. Some key news events that are going to be happening this week, which is super important. The Senate finally determined and got enough votes to reach the end of the government shutdown, which is forecasted to end on Thursday of this week. We have a total of 7 Fed speakers this week, a lot of volatility. A lot of people are going to be capitulating them bags because they're going to start getting into over leveraged positions and people are going to get wrecked again. Could we start to rally very significantly based off of the heat map? Yes, we could. But is it going to be short term? This is something that everyone is kind of teeter-tottering on. And I want you to also focus on this and not go balls to the wall super bullish just yet. I'm going to let you know whenever I'm balls to the wall super bullish, but I'm still teeter-tottering. And I think you should be too. Now, if you're new to my channel, please check out the rest of my content. I try to keep you updated on the day-to-day events, price action on Bitcoin, Ethereum, altcoins, how liquidity is shifting, and everything you need to be aware of. As I said, on a week-to-week basis, I try to show you the key news events. I try to show you the perspectives from the bulls and the bears. That way you can understand not only the bullish perspectives, but also the bearish perspectives. And on my channel, I try to keep it very quick and concise, give you exactly what you need, and throw out all the other fluff. So I really do appreciate all the support you guys show me on the channel. Please share the channel with someone else that wants to learn more about crypto. And also just be sure to try to show the channel to someone else. At the end of the day, I think crypto is a really crazy space. It's not meant for everybody, but the people that it is meant for could really start to change their lives, if they actually start to keep up with the right things and focus on the right projects and understand what crypto is and how everything moves. All right, I'm gonna keep you guys updated on everything. Do not capitulate your bags, expect volatility, and I'll catch you guys tomorrow. Peace.